The format, the ground rules that we're going to operate under tonight, we're going to let each candidate speak for 3 minutes, identify themselves, and then they will address any issue they feel like addressing in 3 minutes. And then once we have gone through the candidates that are here, we have some pieces of paper up here. If you have a question that you would like to address a specific candidate, we're going to pass out these question sheets. You are to write down the question and the candidate you would like to see it addressed to. I will have these question sheets to pass out while Jimmy is going to introduce the candidates and have them speak. So at this point, Jimmy Swain, take over.
We're delighted that you're here tonight. As I mentioned to somebody, you've got 2 wounded warriors working this podium tonight. Bill, who was incapacitated, he was in the hospital on Friday. And then you have me. But I am getting better. And I also asked one of the candidates, and I'll ask all of them at this time, are we having fun yet? Anyway, we're glad that you're here. And the first speaker, you know the ground rules, will be our sole commissioner, Robert Jones.
Well, if anyone gets too cool, we'll open the doors, because I guarantee you it's plenty warm outside. But I want to thank y'all for being here tonight. I have been well blessed over the last 7.5 years by being your sole commissioner of Pickens County. Being the sole commissioner, we were able to get a lot done and focus Pickens County into a new role for the future. Some of the things we have got accomplished in my 7.5 years is the completion of new construction of the Pickens County Jail, which was part of the 03 through 08 loss project. We paid that off in 2010. We purchased the old Mountainside Medical Hospital, as most of you know. We relocated all administrative services there, and that was a part of the 08 SPLOST, and that building is paid off also. We've paved 67.5 miles of county roads, and we built 3 bridges in the 7.5 years. We have run a total of water lines, 281,280 feet of 8-inch pipe in Pickens County, trying to get out to the boundaries. We've upgraded the 911 center, which was in dire need, along with instituting Code Red, and most of y'all that are on Code Red system understand how that operates. But we've also, most thing I've been proud of is the fact that we were able to establish a paid fire department for Pickens County. It's the first time in many years that we were able to do something for the infrastructure. Yes, it does cost something to have a paid fire department, but with that cost also lowers your ISO ratings for your homeowner's insurance. So we were able to get started on that. We've got Station 11, which is over behind the airport, that handles the offices as well as the support staff for the paid fire department and the EMS. We've also got Station 5 that's right across from Bent Tree that has got paid fire staff in it also. We initiated a contract with a local air ambulance service in the last 2 years that actually brought us an air ambulance into Pickens County that is stationed behind Station 11. We rented the property to them for $1 a year under the agreement that they would buy all their fuel from Pickens County. That air ambulance is stationed, like I say, 24/7. And unbeknownst to me, what they did, they based that helicopter here, which actually put $1.2 million on the tax books for Pickens County. The volunteer fire station, we built a volunteer fire station, 1 minute, up on Monument Road. Pickens County built the building, did all the grading, built the building, then we partnered with Dawson County for the equipment that goes in the building. And along with that, we were able to put together a water service tank up there for water on top of that mountain to give them something to fight fire with if, and heaven forbid, it ever happens up there. And then, of course, we had partnered with the Sheriff's Office for the animal rescue that we have now in Pickens County as of 2.5 years ago. Those are some of the items I forgot there, and the biggest part of them are on my website. But I just want y'all to know that things have been going on in Pickens County. We have been getting a lot accomplished, and a lot of things happening to bring Pickens County forward. So I would really wish that you would vote for me in the next coming up election. And anything I can do in my office is always open. Thank you very much.
next candidate for chairman of the commissioners is Wesley Weaver.
I want to thank Mr. Swain, thank the Republican Party, thank Mr. Horton. Thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to speak to y'all here tonight. My name is Wesley Weaver. I think I have the education to lead the county. I went to UGA, graduated 4 years of college in 2 years. From there, I went to law school out in Los Angeles, California. Graduated 3 years of law school in 2 years. I'm a conservative. My goal is to ending the spending. In 2004, when Mr. Jones took office, the county's debt was $8 million. In 2006, just 2 years later, it reached a high point of $21 million. It's paid down to $18 million now. He claims it's $2 million. But if y'all saw, the handout I gave at the last forum, or if you saw it published in the newspaper this week, Pickens Progress, you'll see that it's, adds up to $18 million. And his defense of that was, $18 million. Well, we've got a lot of debts that will be paid off in the future years. Well, it's still debt. And there's no need to try to hide it and say it's just $2.6 million. It's $18 million. $10 million he spent. In the progress, he claims he's built 3 water tanks. I'd like to know, if y'all want to ask that question, where are the 3 water tanks? I only know of 1 he's built. And he did that with, Obama's stimulus funding. The courthouse, $17 million just to remodel a courthouse. Courthouse could have been built somewhere else. You're going to have to park behind the Piggly Wiggly and walk up the hill to the courthouse. That's a long way. I mean, y'all can see that it's a long way. I'm an attorney. I don't want to walk in the rain to go up there. I'm going to have to, hopefully find me a good place to park. By law, the committee, I think I'm the one with honesty and integrity. By law, the commissioner's supposed to make $1,200, more than the highest paid county official. When Ron Jones took office, that highest paid official was Billy Walford, making $98,000. Ron Jones made $101,000. When Donnie Craig was elected and Billy Walford retired, Ron Jones' salary should have went back down to $70,000. It hasn't. For the last 4 years, he's made $30,000 a year. Too much. There's no locked-in provision in the law that guarantees him $30,000 more than he's supposed to be making. My name is Wesley Weaver. I promise I'm going to do what's honest, and I have integrity. I'm not going to be making $30,000 more than I'm supposed to.
Next, we have the commissioners' candidates for District 2. First speaker will be Becky Denny.
Okay, hello. I would also like to thank Mr. Horton and the Republican Party for this opportunity. I'm Becky Denny, and I want to be the first woman to serve on the first 3-person Board of Commissioners of Pickens County. It's about service and giving back. I'm a native and lifelong resident of Pickens County. I was raised in the city by my widowed mom, Ethel Qualls. I have lived in Big Canoe for the past 16 years with my husband, David Keller. We talk a lot about being natives, and I'm proud of that also, but I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the citizens that have chosen to move into Pickens County and call it home. You have contributed greatly to our community and spent numerous hours volunteering in our local charities. And if you're one of those people, I say thank you. I worked in the private sector. I was a State Farm agent for 20 years, and having worked in the industry for 35 years, I know how to make a payroll and balance a budget. I also learned how to negotiate and compromise, and these are the skills that I would like to bring to this office. I have been involved in the community, previously serving on the boards of Good Samaritan Health and Wellness Center, Wildwood Christian Academy, and Pickens County Chamber of Commerce. I am also a graduate of Leadership Pickens. As your District 2 Commissioner, I would work to provide a business-friendly environment. And I would support and encourage our existing Economic Development Authority to help them secure jobs for this area. I am fiscally conservative, and I would work to maintain an indebtedness that is manageable. We need a sound budget to maintain our existing millage rate or to lower it. We have made great strides in public safety, and we need to continue this to protect our citizens. Regarding recreation, I would favor bringing recreation out to the citizens in different areas of the county. We could have a couple of ball fields, some walking tracks, and I don't think this would be terribly expensive because a lot of citizens are willing to donate property for a worthwhile cause such as this. I plan to represent many individuals in many different communities because one person does not make a community and one community does not make a county. We are all Pickens County citizens and we must work together for the good of the county. I am asking for your vote, July 31st, Becky Denny, and I sure would appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, for Commissioner of District 2, Jerry Jabbo Patterson.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Patterson, and Jabbo is a nickname that I've lived with all my life, and folks that really know me as that, and that's the reason I have it out there, and so people can recognize me. I've lived in Pickens County all of my life, 60 years. I've worked all over North Georgia, but I've always called Pickens County home for one reason. I love the county. This is where my folks grew up. It's where my brothers and sisters grew up. And I really want to serve the county. We've got a lot to look forward to in this county, but we've got to have the right leadership to do it. For 33 years, I worked in the Postal Service and served in 18 different management positions. I worked with the public practically all of my life. In the Postal Service, I was involved in budget, finance, facility restoration, facility construction, you name it, and anything they did, I did it. I think you need leadership in this position, and I think I can offer that. We have to get water in this county. That's our first choice, to bring infrastructure, to bring new jobs. I would like to see us partner with the city of Jasper and look at building a possible reservoir at Cove Creek. It's a natural site. It would bring a tremendous amount of water in a short time to us. And if we ever got cut off from our other sources, we would have our own supply of water. I think this could be accomplished in an 8 to 10 year period. Other sites in the county are also available. We also have Limestone Valley Soil and Water Conservation District. A lot of these conservation dams could be utilized if we worked out a deal with them and did a joint project. We could raise the level of the dams, the water's there. Simply all you would do would be raise the level of the dams to restore it to a higher level and have it as a reserve. If we build the infrastructure, we will draw the jobs, we will draw the businesses. Our county needs to grow in the right direction. We need to pick the right business to come in. We don't want the wrong type job to bring the wrong type people. It's a great place to live. Just look around at what you've got and how many people have moved in. That tells you one thing. People want to come here, so we need to provide what's necessary to get the right growth. I guess what I really want to say is the next 4 years will be critical to how our county performs under this new 3-man commission. You're going to have people that can work together, that are willing to give and take, and move forward in a manner that helps all of the county. I would represent the East District to the best of my ability, but I would also look out for the other folks because in the end, it's all for us. I ask for your vote and support. Early voting July the 9th. Primaries on the 31st. Thank you.
I don't believe the gentleman running for tax commissioner is with us. And the gentleman running for coroner is not with us either. So we'll go to the probate judge. First speaker, David Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Swain, and thanks to the Pickens County Republican Party and Trinity Church for hosting this event. At each of these forums, I'm always excited and encouraged to see so many folks come out and be interested in the upcoming elections, and I appreciate everyone being here tonight. My name is David Lindsay. I'm a candidate for Pickens County Probate Judge. The current judge, Rodney Gibson, has been in service for over 30 years. He has decided to retire this year, leaving the seat vacant, and as he retires, he has my deepest thanks and admiration. A little bit about myself. I have been married 13 years to my wife, Marie, who works at Piedmont Healthcare. We have 2 children, Carter, who is 10, and Sophie, who is 2. I am a native of Pickens County. I graduated Pickens High in 1989. I had always wanted to go to law school, so I went to the University of Georgia, worked in the law library there 7 years. I graduated in 1993 with an English degree, and in 1996 I graduated from the UJ School of Law. While I was in Athens, I also served for the Georgia Legal Aid Clinic, where we represented indigent clients with free legal services, and I completed a congressional internship in Washington, D.C. After graduation, I came back home to Pickens County and had the privilege of serving 2 years as the law clerk in the Appalachian Judicial Circuit under Judge Brenda Weaver and Judge Bobby Milam. Since that time, I have been in private practice of law for 15 years, specializing in probate matters. I've served as the city attorney for LJ since 1999, and I am the current public defender for the Municipal Court of Jasper. I've been appointed by the Pickens, Gilmer, and Cherokee County probate courts as the attorney to represent folks in need of guardianship or in minors or adults in need of guardianships. These work experiences and these positions that I've held have really taught me 2 things that I believe are essential qualities for any judge, and those are an extensive knowledge of the law, but also the ability to understand the needs of people from all walks of life that are served by the court. The judge has to follow the law, the judge has to follow the Constitution. He has to do so with common sense, with understanding, and with an understanding of the needs of the people that are before the court. Because the probate court hears so many, a wide variety of matters, and due to the complexity of those matters, as well as the high volume of cases that it hears, I believe the probate judge deserves a full-time individual to serve there. If elected, I will resign my current position, will not maintain a law office, and I will serve as probate judge full-time. I will also seek to ensure that the office runs as streamlined and as cost-effective as possible. As I've learned from my clients, when folks attend court, they want to, sometimes it's mystifying. They want to understand what is happening to them and want their case handled efficiently. And I will work to make sure the court meets both of those goals. I encourage each of you to become informed voters, talk to folks in the legal community about my qualifications and my fitness. Thank you for your time, and I would humbly ask for your vote in the July 31st primary.
Also running for probate judge is Nancy Maddox.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks to the Republican Party for hosting this event, and I appreciate everyone coming out tonight to learn a little bit more about your elected or soon-to-be elected officials. My name is Nancy Maddox. I am a lifelong resident of Pickens County, and I have been a practicing attorney for 13 years. 6 of those years I've owned my own law practice. And to kind of go back to the beginning, I was born and raised about 6 miles from here over on Cove Road. And starting early, I learned sort of an entrepreneurial spirit from my parents. My dad has always been self-employed, and from that I learned basically you have to make sure that you are going to be taking care of your house fiscally. You have to make sure that you service your clients if you want to stay in business. And moving forward, that's what I've tried to do. I'm a 1991 graduate of Pickens High School, and I graduated with honors there, and I did go on to University of Georgia. And if you think I'm reading my opponent's speech here, there are a lot of similarities between us. There's just a few years difference in us. And I'm very proud of the way that both of us have been running this campaign, just to put out there what we have to offer to the people. One thing that I think differentiates me is the fact that I have had my own business. And I've done that successfully in LJ, Georgia for 6 years. And I've talked a lot at these forums about my education, etc. But I'd like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about what I would plan to do in the future. Taking my business experience and the use of technology in my office, I'd like to build on what has happened in that office to date. To date, there's good customer service. The employees there know their jobs, and they do a great job. My plan would be to try to automate and make their jobs even easier, and also save the taxpayers money. Automation in the form of databases where the public could access records online easily, where they could also come into the office and already have forms filled out, which would make the court's job a lot easier. Another thing that I'd like to make sure happens in that office is that people are treated with compassion, and I feel that's been the case so far, and I'd like to continue that. One thing that I have noticed in my practice, when people come to me with a problem, an issue, they feel better when they leave, when they have a solution, or at least they have a plan. And that's what I'd like to provide to the citizens of Pickens County is if you come to my office, I'm trying to educate myself as much as possible on what is out there to help people in basically any issue that they have going on, and using the community resources that we have here, be able to help them greatly. Part of my service in the community has been volunteering with local civic organizations. I've also volunteered with the Alzheimer's Association as well. And I'm on a board of a nonprofit learning center up in LJ, and that is where my office is located. Regarding my office, I've been asked quite a few times, well, what are you going to do with your office after this election? And I think that's a very valid question, and that would be a good problem to have. But there'll be 5 months after the election, if I were to be honored with being elected, to basically phase myself out of that office, bring in either a partner or an associate that would run the business, and I would be a full-time probate judge here. But I would appreciate you considering voting for me July 31st. My name is Nancy Maddox. Early voting starts July 9th. And if you have any questions, you can visit me on the website, www.maddoxforprobate.com, or you may call me. The handout on your chair has my personal phone number on there. Thank you so much.
Next, we have the candidates for the Chief Magistrate Judge, and the first candidate is Lysandra Cooley.
Good evening. I'm Lysandra Ray Cooley, and I am running for Chief Magistrate Judge this year. I've lived in Pickens County for most all my life, and my husband Wayne Cooley and I have been together for 20 years. Our previous Chief Magistrate Judge of almost 20 years, Larry Ray, was my dad. I have an accounting diploma from Pickens Tech and an associate's degree from Reinhardt College. I graduated just in April with a bachelor's degree in organizational management and leadership. I'm enrolled to begin my master's degree in August. I have an extensive business background. I worked as a cost accountant for Lexington Components, office manager for R&R Towing, and a subcarrier and a clerk for the United States Postal Service. Then my husband and I purchased R&R Towing in 2001. I then became a licensed used car dealer, a used parts dealer, and a licensed real estate agent. In 2008, I began working full-time at the Magistrate Court as a Magistrate Court accountant. And in September of 2009, I was appointed as judge so I could assist with the issuance of arrest warrants, first appearances, and other judicial functions. If you're not familiar with Magistrate Court, it's where you come if you need to file a civil claim against someone, excuse me, for up to $15,000, or to seek an arrest warrant for someone, or if you need some help collecting a return check. With advanced technology, our court has really changed, making filing more convenient than in the past. We now accept online civil filings, take credit cards, and issue our warrants electronically. Being a previous business owner, I know how receiving a bad check can be frustrating. I also understand that it could have been an honest oversight. I personally do my best to collect money for our merchants. Why am I running for Chief Magistrate? I'm a very big people's advocate. I believe that just because someone's made a bad decision does not necessarily make them a bad person. I want to ensure that everyone is treated equally and with dignity and respect, regardless of the situation. It should not matter who you are, who your parents are, or even who your attorney is. Everyone should be treated equally. I feel it's our responsibility to help to keep the county's costs down by keeping a watch on the jail population. If someone's in jail for a minor offense and poses no threat to the community or to a victim, it is our duty to help get them out of jail and back to their jobs. If someone sits in jail long enough to lose their jobs, they may very well turn to bigger crime whenever they get out to try to provide for their families. Magistrate Court is truly the people's court, and everyone having dealings there should be afforded the right to understand what's going on with their particular situation every step of the way, whether they have an attorney or not. My daddy always told me never to judge people too harshly because I too could be one bad decision away from standing in their shoes. And I believe in that statement. Just remember, I'm not in it for the road, I'm not in it for the bench, I'm 100% in it for the people. And I would appreciate your vote and support this year in the election. Again, that's Lysandra Cooley. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Alan Wigington.
Thank you. My name is Alan Wigington. I'm currently your Chief Magistrate. In 2008, I was appointed as a full-time judge in the Magistrate Court after serving a number of years in law enforcement. Most recently, I left the Sheriff's Office as the Chief Deputy. I am a local boy, born and raised here in Pickens County, was educated outside, and graduated with degrees, ended up with degrees in Justice Administration, Criminal Justice, and Social Work. I most recently have taken on the role as of yesterday as Vice President of the State Council of Magistrate Court Judges, representing Georgia's 563 Magistrate Court Judges with the Judicial Council of Georgia. I also was selected this year as the 2012 Workhorse Judge of the Year out of 563 magistrates statewide. It's an honor that I have appreciated for being recognized by my peers as someone who's trying to better the magistrate courts, not only here in Pickens County, but around Georgia. Since 2008, my mission has been to provide fair, efficient, and honest access to the court system. When I took office, we were using typewriters, and we had one computer. If you needed to look up a case, we would look it up on one computer as long as somebody else wasn't using it. I always say this, and Donnie Craig said he was getting tired of hearing it. We issue arrest warrants via iPhones now and our iPads. We can do it from anywhere at any time and for any reason. We're able to use video conferencing. We can do that as well in first appearance hearings and probation revocation hearings through the technology that we've received in the last 2 years. In April of last year, I was selected by the Superior Court judges when Judge Ray stepped down to fill the term as Chief Magistrate. As Chief Magistrate, I was tasked with some responsibilities, and that was improve the court's efficiency and see if we can lessen the taxpayer's burden. I think we've accomplished that. Since last year, we reduced the court's budget by 10%, increased caseload and revenue by 20%. We also have started a pretrial mental health court. That is a court that provides accountability and supervision to chronically ill, mentally handicapped individuals in our community who have committed crimes while they're awaiting adjudication. Without this kind of court, there would be no supervision for those folks. As Lysandra said, we've also implemented civil case filings. We are a pilot project for the state in the criminal filings and the civil filings, and it's very exciting to see exactly how that is maturing right here in Pickens County. It's a far cry from the typewriters. Again, my name is Alan Wigington, and I appreciate your support being the Chief Magistrate for another 4 years. Always remember that your magistrate court is tasked with providing substantial justice using substantive law. Sometimes that's really difficult, but we are always open for your suggestions and your comments. Thank you.
Next are the candidates for the Clerk of Superior Court. First candidate will be Gail Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Swain. I'm Gail Brown, your Clerk of Superior Court. I have 18 years experience. I began working in the clerk's office in 1993, and in 1999 I was promoted to Chief Deputy Clerk. In 2004, you gave me the honor and privilege of being your next Clerk of Superior Court, and again in 2008. I'm the first Republican elected to this office. I'm a member of the Bethesda Baptist Church, the Pickens County Republican Party, and the Pickens County Chamber of Commerce. I'm married to Marvin Brown. I have one daughter, one son-in-law, and I have 3 granddaughters. One of my granddaughters has graduated Pickens High School, and one will graduate next year. She will attend Reinhardt College full-time her last year of her senior year. So I have to brag on them a little bit. I'm very proud of my grandchildren, all girls. I have a Pickens High School diploma, a diploma in accounting from Appalachian Tech, and I'm a certified clerk of court, for which I devoted 72 hours of my mandatory training to. When I took office in 2005, I hired and trained 3 new employees, and they now have 8 years experience. They're all professionals in their area of work, and they're also cross-trained in many other areas. I do not believe, we have other employees that have 9 to 16 years experience. I do not believe that I should just delegate and supervise. I do a full-time job myself. The clerk's office is governed by Georgia law. There's legal filing requirements for every document that comes into our office. We can't just accept any document. We have to know the filing requirements. We record all the property deeds for Pickens County. We manage the civil, criminal, and juvenile departments and jury management. We're responsible for mailing jury summons and making sure there's enough jurors here for court on each scheduled court date. We create court calendars for non-jury days, which is a list of calendars for that day. The cases, which is a list of the cases for that day. We mail notices and the notices to all the parties and attorneys. Then the day before, we prepare for court by pulling all the cases, and we attend each court session to assist the judges. Your clerk's office has more duties than I could ever tell you in one day or 2. The office was more complex and more highly technological than many people may know. We were required to transmit images and data, or both, in every department almost every day. And I'm very excited that I just learned that we are going to be receiving our first electronically filed child support cases this week. Instead of taking an hour or more to enter and scan a stack of child support cases, just a couple clicks of the mouse and they're automatically in our case management system. And so that's going to really save time and money. We don't have to keep a paper file on that either. The clerk's office is elected by you and accountable to you. And if you will re-elect me, I will continue the smooth operation of the office. I will continue keeping the work up to date and continue to work with other county offices for the smooth operation of your county government and judicial system. I love Pickens County, and I love helping people. Mine's number 1 goal is to serve the citizens of Pickens County, and I would appreciate you voting for me, Gil Brown, your Clerk of Superior Court. Thank you.
The next candidate for Clerk of the Superior Court is Kathy Bruce.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Bruce. And again, I'm running for Clerk of Court of Pickens County. I was born and raised in Pickens County. My parents is Elaine Thomason and the late Sam Thomason of Hinton Community. My husband and I have 2 children and 5 healthy grandchildren. In 1973, I began working at Pickens General Hospital, which is now Piedmont, and I worked there approximately 15 years in administration. Part of that time, I was business office manager. I was responsible for keeping all personal records, employee benefits, and payroll for the hospital and nursing home. After that, I started working at Century 21 Lindsay and Polly, and there again I was the office manager. And in 1997, I decided to go back to school to become an appraiser, in which I am today, and I work at Payne Appraisal Services here in Jasper. I currently serve as the chairman of the Family and Children's Service Board here in Jasper, which I'm very proud of. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, a past member of the board of Pickens County Planning Commission. I think I was there on the first Planning Commission. I was a member of the Pickens County Board of Jury Commission and was an elected member of the Pickens County Board of Elections that I had to give up when I decided to run for this office. If the citizens of Pickens County allow me the opportunity to serve you as Clerk of Court, I will utilize the skills and knowledge that I have acquired during my life and my career to provide you a professional service. I will review all current procedures and determine if they need to be changed and establish new procedures to see if they need to be changed. I will attend all training seminars available to me, and I will visit visiting county clerks. One of the reasons I decided to run for office, and some of the things if I'm elected, while in the current building, I plan to organize the office and make sure all documents are correctly filed in each folder and docket book. I plan to begin the process of preparing to complete automation of the clerk's office and would like it to be easier for you to go online to review those records. We need to start preparing for when there's electronic filing of cases, and I'm sure that that will be coming in the near future. All record-keeping technology needs to be updated. I plan to keep that office open one day a week till 6:00 p.m. for those that work that needs to come by after they get off from work to keep from them to leave early. I want the office to run in a business manner and provide excellent service to you, the taxpayers of Pickens County. I want you to consider me as your candidate on July 31st, and I appreciate your vote. Kathy Bruce, thank you.
We have one candidate that's running for the Board of Education, post 4, and that is Peggy Andrews.
Hi, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm Peggy Andrews, and I'm a candidate for the Pickens County Board of Education, post 4, and that is voted county-wide rather than just our district. So I have been in Pickens County for 43 years. I'm married to Jerry Andrews, 48 years. He's an original Tater, so if you marry an Andrews, you live in Tate, so that's just the way it is. I am a retired educator of Pickens County Schools. I've 36 years. During that tenure, I was a teacher, a media specialist, an assistant principal, a principal, and a curriculum director. Last Friday, my husband rushes me out of the house and says, "You got to go ask people to vote for you." So, you know, that was it. I had to go. And I had an opportunity to talk to a man, and just this conversation has really strengthened my resolve to run for this office and to actively seek it. I told him my name and what I was running for, and we chatted for a few moments, and then he later asked me, he said, "Now tell me again what you're running for," and I handed him my business card. He looked at the card, and then he looked at me and he said, "I can't read." He said, "I don't know if I'll vote, because if I vote, I have to ask for help. But if I do go, I will vote for you." Well, you can imagine what that did to me. I just lost it then. But anyway, it did strengthen my resolve, and I know why I'm in this race. I don't know what his situation was, and I don't know why he didn't learn to read, but I do know that I don't want any student who goes to Pickens County Schools to leave and then 20, 30, 40 years later say to someone, "I can't read." Our children are our future. They're our citizens, our future citizens, and our future leaders, and they deserve the very best that we have. We have many challenges now facing the school system. This year alone, the state has reduced its spending for the K-12 education cost by $1 billion. This is the second year in a row. We're seeing instructional time cut, we're seeing class sizes increasing, furlough days for teachers, rising employer health care costs, as well as many other needs. We have a new curriculum going in this next year, the Common Core Standards, and which is more rigorous, which will bring on more rigorous assessments and stiffer penalties if we do not meet the standards. The challenge of being a school board member in these economic times is great, but I think it's a worthwhile challenge, and I'm up to the task. Local school board members need to know that they are there for the children, and if we remember why we're there and why we are doing our work, and then align our work with the system standards, the result will be educational excellence. Every child in this county is a reason for you to vote, and I'm asking you for your vote and your support. I'm Peggy Andrews, candidate for Pickens County Board of Education, Post 4, and I need your support. Thank you.
We have two candidates for Superior Court Judge. The first of these candidates is Roger Bradley.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Roger Bradley, and it is without reservation that I ask for your vote between July 9 and July 31st. Our race is decided at that point in time. To quote one Ronald Reagan, I will not hold my opponent's youth and inexperience against him. And let me explain what I mean by that. For 26 years, I practiced law in Fannin and Gilmer counties particularly, and then in other surrounding counties. And during that period of time, every time the courthouse was open for jury trials or for non-jury trials, I was there actively trying cases, striking juries, and trying those cases. 12 of those same years, I was municipal judge for LJ and Blue Ridge. Sometimes people refer to the traffic court as the Greedem and Pleadem court. And you move them through for speeding, DUIs, parking, lane change, eluding officers, and things like that. There are no jurors, and it is moved through very quickly. My opponent is also a municipal judge, and he does the Greedem and Pleadem part also. Other than that, I would invite you to take the little brochure that has been put on your seat, handed out by my opponent, because until a month and a half ago, two of your judges in this circuit, myself and Judge Weaver, didn't even know Mr. Sneed or his name, because he had never appeared in our courts on a criminal matter. He had never appeared in our courts on a domestic matter, both of which he complains about bitterly, because he had been given that information by the special interest group that has brought him in to run specifically against me. Your little pamphlet you have will have nothing on there about a collection lawyer, but that's what his primary job is, other than being a collection lawyer. They file papers, get default judgments, and never appear in court, and that's one of the reasons that we never see him. Now, he will tell you that a comment I made about uncollected homeowners dues, like Paul Harvey, has the rest of the story. But I will challenge you when he starts talking about numbers of cases, you have to go pull the files to see what is there. There's nothing you can get from the clerk's office by just pulling numbers that tell you when somebody went bankrupt, how long it was tied up in bankruptcy court or appellate court or some other place. And so those numbers are meaningless unless you actually go pull the records. Also, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story, when we finish here tonight, I'm going to have photos that you can come by and look at of two houses. The two addresses he has in Fannin County, one is on his application. On one of the houses he has listed, it still has the construction guard and the porta pot out for the construction workers. I would invite you to come by and look at the photos July the 31st or the 9th. Thank you for your vote.
Next candidate is Mr. Robert Sneed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. My name is Robert Sneed, and I am a candidate for Superior Court Judge. I'm going to be nice as well and respect my elders and his lack of experience in other areas as well, so I won't be too harsh on him. But some things you do need to know. He comes up here and he always talks about my house. He insults my house because I'm still continuing to work on my house as I go, because as I afford to be able to do improvements, I'll work on my house. Apparently, I should have checked with him before I did that to make sure that that met his approval, because apparently, because my house still has work ongoing, that makes me not a local or not living in Blue Ridge. He did mention the thing about the property owner's assessment last week. He says I owe money to people that I do not owe money on. He says I represent a special interest group. You need to understand that the reason why he keeps bringing these issues up is because he doesn't want you to look at his record or lack thereof. Let's talk about that. I am a municipal judge. I've been a practicing attorney for 25 years. 20 of those years I've sat on the bench as a municipal judge. I've adjudicated thousands upon thousands of cases. Currently I sit in 17 jurisdictions, including LJ, East LJ, and Blue Ridge. I've had an extensive criminal and civil practice for that 25 years, including misdemeanors and felonies. And I would remind him that when he took the bench for his term, he came right off the municipal court bench. So apparently if he can learn, other people can learn as well. I've looked at these dockets, and you need to be aware of these dockets and the sad shape that they're in. There is an overwhelming backlog of civil and criminal cases on Judge Bradley's docket. There's no excuse for this at all. He says that there is no backlog on his civil cases. Let's look at some of the facts, see what you think about some of this. Recently, I reviewed the Gilmer and Pickens County calendars. The Gilmer County calendar showed 101 total active cases. 38 cases on the calendar were 3 years old or older. 1 case is from 02, 2 are from 03, 4 are from 04, 5 are from 06, 4 are from 07, 14 are from 08, which is almost 40% of that calendar that is 3 years old or older. 15 of the 38 cases involve domestic issues and 10 involve children ranging from 06 to 09. They're all showing active with no disposition. With reference to the Pickens County calendar, 371 total cases, of which 111 are from 09 or older. That's roughly 1/3 of the calendar that's at least 3 years old or older. Those cases ranging from 1999 all the way up to 2009. 36 of the 111 involve domestic issues. 23 of those cases involve children ranging from 1999 to 2009. This is unacceptable. In these child custody cases, the average case is taking 4 to 6 years to move through this system, and those children are taking, in some instances, up to 2 years to get a temporary hearing in these custody cases. No one is looking out for the best interest of the children in those situations, and that's what our job is to do, is to look out for the best interest of the children. Go to the courthouse, pull the dockets, look at the information, and see for yourself, and see who's telling you the truth and who's just slinging mud. I need your vote on July 31st. It's time to change what's going on. Thank you very much.
We have 3 candidates for district attorney. The first candidate to speak will be Harry Doss.
All right, Mr. Moderator, it's certainly a privilege to be here. I'd like to take a moment to express my appreciation to the members of the Pickens County Republican Party for having this forum, and also to the members of Trinity Church for allowing us to meet in their magnificent facilities. My name is Harry Doss, and I'm a candidate for District Attorney of the Appalachian Judicial Circuit. This circuit is comprised of Fannin, Gilmer, and Pickens counties. I have practiced law for 39 years in Fannin County. I've been extremely active in the Fannin County Republican Party for 34 of those 39 years. Basically, I've been a foot soldier in the Republican Party. I generally attend the monthly meetings, and I've had the privilege of being a delegate 25 times to the district and state conventions, and was elected to serve as chairman of the district convention in 1989 and 1990. But the greatest privilege of my life, in my opinion, besides being married to my wonderful wife, Lynn, has been to have served in the United States Army for 31 years. Started as a second lieutenant and retired as full colonel. I was on active duty at the time of the invasion of Kuwait, and basically I was gone to Southwest Asia for the next 5 years, with 2 or 3 weeks here and there being at home. Had the privilege of serving Saudi Arabia and after the war in Kuwait, and also in Egypt, and prior to the war, I might mention some extensive trips, not trips, but duty in Jordan. I also served a tour in Germany, and I was in Mogadishu, Somalia on numerous occasions. Now, I'm seeking the office of District Attorney. Time does not permit me to sit here or stand here and tell you all the reasons why I'm running for this office and why I think it's vitally important. But I would make one suggestion and request, and I hope you'll take it seriously. I would urge you, for those of you who are familiar with Fetch Your News, to go and watch Fetch Your News and the forum that was in Fannin County and look up the District Attorney's forum and follow that. I think you'll find it interesting and informative. Now, the District Attorney's office, my opinion, the District Attorney, the foremost duty of the District Attorney is to try cases. To try cases. I know how to try cases, I'm willing to try cases, I'm capable, and I'm not afraid to try cases. Now, we have somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 criminal cases. Now, to be sure, some of them are dead docketed or pretrial diversion. But we have, I think, by my count and working in the clerk's office, well over 2,000 criminal cases. Well over. I think the second duty of the District Attorney is to make sure his assistant DAs try cases, are capable of trying cases, and are ready to try cases. Now, in our counties, and I will close with this, we have many individuals languishing in jail. In Pickens County, not Pickens County, Gilmer, excuse me, last week, a week ago, tomorrow night, we have over 100. These cases change from day to day, but 100 cases. The sheriff told me that it costs in Gilmer County approximately $42 to house a criminal. Now, some of them are waiting shipment to the state and others. But for the most part, they're waiting disposition. There's no reason for this. As District Attorney, I think a priority should be to move the jail cases. In Fannin, a week ago tomorrow, we had 56 cases at $35 a day. This is costing the taxpayers money. This needs to stop. I will work diligently to greatly improve this, and it certainly can be. Also, I do not think individuals should be over-indicted. Over-indicted, languish in jail, or have it hanging over their heads until they finally capitulate and plead guilty to something. Okay, thank you. I hope that you will study this important office and that you will consider me and vote for me on 31 July.
The next candidate for District Attorney is Joe Hendricks.
I'm glad that worked better than it did the other day, Pickens. Hi, my name is Joe Hendricks. I am your district attorney, and I've been your district attorney since you elected me to that position in 2004. I want to introduce myself. I am married to Kay Hendricks. It was 19 years just a couple of days ago, and I want to tell you how much she spoke for me at the forum, and I want to tell you how proud I was of her and how she acted as grace under pressure in that forum. We have one son, John. He'll be 11 tomorrow, and he goes to Kay teaches at Jasper Elementary. John will be going from Jasper Elementary to Jasper Middle School. We're members of Mount Hope Community Church, where I serve as a deacon and Sunday school teacher. My wife serves as a Sunday school teacher there as well. And I'm a graduate of Berry College with a degree in economics, political science, and then I graduated from Georgia State University College of Law in 1995. I worked for District Attorney Roger Queen for over 3 years, prosecuting and trying cases here in the Appalachian Judicial Circuit. I was in private practice where I did everything from adoptions to criminal defense to trademarks to a little bit of everything else. In 2004, I ran and I promised I would do something about the methamphetamine problem. It was an epidemic plaguing this community and destroying the lives of families. We took a tough stand, and as a result, we have significantly reduced the levels of methamphetamine use and methamphetamine abuse in this county. I promised I would aggressively prosecute child sexual abuse cases. We protected our families and protected children by doing so. I promised I would take a tough stand on DUIs, And as a result, Mothers Against Drunk Driving just recently awarded me, and I accepted on behalf of my office, with the Judicial Enforcement Partnership Award for aggressive DUI prosecution. I said I would use technology to improve the efficiency of the office, and that's what we did. We implemented the first pilot project of a statewide case management system that's used in, really, I would say right now, about 2/3 of the district attorney's office throughout the state. I've led a data integration project, linking the data, linking the computer systems of the probate, sheriff's office, clerk's office, district attorney's office, and other judicial agencies. I have a great staff. My current chief assistant district attorney is the assistant district attorney of the year for the state of Georgia. We've reduced backlog. I've got a chart here that shows how our backlog has reduced and fallen dramatically over the last few years. I've worked hard to fight for you. My staff, my assistant DAs, I see some here tonight, have worked hard to fight for you and to protect this community against people who would violate the law and violate the rights and properties of others. And that's what I want to continue to do as your district attorney, and that's why I'm asking for your vote this summer on July 31st to re-elect me as your district attorney. Thank you.
The final candidate for district attorney is Allison Sosby.
I heard Bill Horton tell Harry Doss earlier he didn't start the time till he stood up at the podium, so I was tempted to start talking as I rounded the table to get a little bit of extra in. My name is Allison Sosby, and I'm a candidate in the Republican primary for district attorney for the Appalachian Judicial Circuit, and it is a 3-county race, Fannin, Gilmer, and Pickens counties. You know, a 3-county race has been difficult to run, and as much as I would like to meet everyone in 3 counties, it has not been possible for me to be able to do that, but I would like to ask for everyone's support and vote on July 31st. You know, I could stand up here and talk all night about why we need a change and what the district attorney has not done while he has been in office, but I'd like to take a little bit of an opportunity to tell you about myself. I am born, raised, and educated in North Georgia. I went to the University of Georgia for my undergrad. I graduated with my undergraduate degree in 3 years with honors. I attended the University of Georgia Law School. Upon graduating from the University of Georgia Law School, I became the law clerk for the Appalachian Judicial Circuit. After that, I went into private practice, and I have been in litigation since. I do criminal defense, and I do civil and domestic litigation. During the time that I was in college, I had the privilege of serving as legislative aide to then Senator and current Speaker of the House, David Ralston. You know, in my capacity and in private practice, I have held several different positions. I am currently the city attorney for the city of McKaysville and for East LJ. I have also served as the prosecutor, the public defender, and the judge pro tem in the city courts within this circuit, and I've been the juvenile court judge pro tem. And I would like to tell everyone out there the reason that I am running for district attorney is because we need a change. You know, prior to cases being indicted and presented to grand jury, cases need to be evaluated on their merits, so cases aren't overcharged, cases aren't indicted. You know, I didn't see the chart that the current district attorney had up here talking about reducing the cases on the backlog, but what I would think would be interesting going to pull those cases is the backlog is being reduced not because cases are being tried, it's because cases are being dismissed. You have cases that are being brought, you have cases that are being accused, but they're not being tried. They're sitting on the docket and they're backlogging. I would work with the Superior Court judges to reduce the backlogging cases. I would physically be present on criminal non-jury days and at jury trials to ensure that my staff are ready to try these cases. You know, the old adage is true that justice delayed is justice denied. And that is what has been happening here. I would work within the system to utilize what was put forth by our governor in House Bill 1166 and the alternative sentencing programs for drug court, for mental health court, and I as district attorney would appoint a prosecutor to have a veterans court, which is not currently in place in the circuit. There are several things that need to be addressed. We have Atlanta lapping at our south border, and this is the time for change. I would ask for your vote and your support on July 31st. Thank you.
We do have one candidate with us tonight that's not in this district, but he is running for commissioner for District 1, and that is Bart Conley. Bart?
I want to thank the Pickens County GOP for having this, and thank Trinity Church for letting us all come here. You've heard everybody else, and now you hear the last and the best. My name is Bart Conley. I am running for Pickens County Commissioner in the Western District. I am not lost. I know where I belong, but I wanted to come and say hi. I'll only take a minute or two. I've lived in Pickens County 12 years. I've been married for 38 years. My wife and I moved here from Cobb County. We have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. We moved up here because my wife had a job at the old Mountainside Hospital as director of the operating room. She was here when the new hospital was built, and she has since moved on to another hospital. I have a son in the Navy. He spent 15 years in the Navy. He's married and has 2 children. And my daughter is married and has 1 child. She lives here in Jasper. I've heard the other candidates talk about their education and how they went through college in 2 years or some in 3 years, or went through law school in a year. I'm very proud to say that I went to college for 6.5 years. I did get a master's degree in education. It took me a while. My mom thought I'd never get out, but one of the reasons is I worked all the way through college. I would find any job I could find. College wasn't near as expensive back in the early 70s as it is now, and I was able to pay for my college by working in the summers and working for whatever job I could find. Bus boy, working at the university on a golf course, which was fun. They don't let you do that very often. There are 4 other candidates for our District 1 commissioner, so more than likely there'll be a runoff. It's going to be very hard for someone to get to 50% plus 1. I'm very optimistic about the future of this county and the government. I look forward to your support. If you know somebody from the West, tell them, hey, Bart was here, he's a nice guy, you need to vote for him. I look forward to working with the other commissioners, whoever the commission chairperson is, or the other commission person, since we can't say commission man because Becky's here. One of the other things I do want to say, I'm very optimistic. I promise that if elected, I will be very honest and open. I have put some of my business cards out there. They have my phone number on there. If you want to ask me any questions, please call me. Thank you once again for having us all here. And please write down some very tough questions for these guys. Thank you.
Let me address 2 things before we go into recess. And that is, first of all, Irvin Easterwood could not be here tonight because he is sick. And Rena Kirk, who is also running for Clerk of Superior Court, could not be here. Her brother is not expected to live and could pass at any time. And she could not be here tonight. Okay, we'll get started. And let me say to the candidates, as I read the questions, I'm just a messenger. This first question is for candidate Sneed.
Yes, sir.
Does your house in Fannin County have a certificate of occupancy, or is the building permit closed yet?
Fannin County is an unusual county in that they don't require a certificate of occupancy to occupy the house. Fannin County has no zoning. So we're allowed to live in the property as we're continuing to renovate the property and do the repairs necessary on it. So that is not required.
Okay, next question. Over here. Could you explain greet them and plead them? Is that what you do?
You know, I heard him say it, and I thought about it over there, and I am so totally offended by that statement. Municipal court handles an extreme load of DUI cases. If there's not a person in this room that thinks that a DUI case is serious and affects our society, then raise the hand now. Because I take those extremely serious, and we do our job to make sure that the drunk drivers are off the street. And for someone who also deals with drunk driver cases, to say greet them and plead them is an absolute offensive remark to make, and I hope everybody takes it as the offensive remark to make. That attitude is completely unacceptable.
One more. We've heard all the negative comments you said about your opponent. What do you plan to do differently, and why should we vote for you?
First thing that needs to be done is a major peremptory calendar needs to be struck to get the status on all these cases together and find out why these cases are languishing so bad. They need to be disposed of in one way or the other. If the continuances are what's the problem, we keep continuing the cases, then put them on the trial calendar and try them and get them off the calendar. Because new cases are being filed every day, and if you don't get the old ones off, you can't deal with the new ones. That's where these delays in these child custody cases are coming from. And it's insane to have a case that takes 4 to 6 years to move through the system. I've looked at the dockets. They range from property cases to domestic cases. They're all over the board. There is no reason these cases should not have been adjudicated and moved off by now. Yes, you have to get them on the calendars, you have to try them, and you have to stop continuing everything over and over again. And I can do it.
How do you plan to pay back the $4 million that we now owe on the airport?
Well, we don't owe $4 million on the airport. We have a $3 million bond. The original was a $6 million bond that was put in place when my predecessor was in office. We've got that down to a $3 million bond on account of the outside parcel, which is approximately 43 acres, were purchased back by the original developer and paid off that $3 million of that bond on the airport. We have got $3 more million of bonding on the airport, which will be paid back one of two ways. Number one, there will be an FAA certified appraiser to appraise the property now that the property is done. Whenever that billing comes in, that property then, or the monies, will be reimbursed from FAA to help pay that $3 million bond. On the rest, if there's any monies left, that property now is liable to be, or can be, leased out. The 17 acres there are going to be leased out by the square foot. That money will be used to pay back the debt.
Did the county turn in its 2011 audit by the deadline of June 30th, 2012 to the Georgia Department of Audits, yes or no?
Yes.
Can you explain the $18 million debt of Pickens County?
First, you've got to understand the difference between asset liabilities and enterprise funds. There is an $18 million that's shown on page number 28 of the audit of 2010. There's also page number 5, which was mysteriously left out on the handout, shows the asset liabilities, which was $2.26 million. That is actually the long-term debt. Those are monies that will have to be paid out of the general fund. Now what you do, you take that 2.26, subtract it from that 18 million that you have on page 25, that leaves you a little over 15 million, nearly $16 million. What that is, GIFA funds that were established, GIFA loans that were established back in '98, one in 2002, one in 2003, and one in 2006, are monies or loans from the federal and state government. Those are set up to put in water lines, say for instance on the west end of the county. Those funds are used to put water lines in, and those funds are paid back by the water users as the lines go in. So that's your enterprise funds there. It's not fair for people that live on the east end of the county to pay for a water line being used on the west end of the county. So that's how they separate it out. GIFA will not loan you money to build water lines unless you have a way to pay it back, and that's what they do. So that was your enterprise funds. That's your part of your $18 million, actually $15.5 million. That's going to be paid back to those entities.
You stated in the Pickens Progress that you supported the folks who opposed the Yellow Creek Character Area Study. It was just a study. At that meeting, there was much venom targeting Big Canoe and Bent Tree. How do you feel about these communities?
At the last forum of the Big Canoe Chapel, one of Miss Denny's supporters came up to me, and I was going to, hand her a Weaver pen. And she said, whoa, before you give me a pen, tell me about this character. You don't want people up here in Big Canoe. You call us big to-dos. I said, no, ma'am, I did not call y'all big to-dos. That was my Uncle George. She said, well, y'all practice in the same law office, don't you? And I said, no, ma'am. I'm in Marble Hill and he's in Jasper. She said, but. I said, ma'am, he's my uncle. We're different people. I said, when people ask me, you know, if I'm related to George, I gladly claim Brenda, but I tell them I'm reluctant to claim George, but I've got to. He's my uncle. At that character area plan meeting, I went to it. I wrote the petition. I along with my dad at Weaver's BP, who've had customers from Bicknell over the years. I don't dislike Bicknell. I dislike a certain individual who came up with this character study, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I believe in individual liberty. Do what you want to with your own property, and it's different strokes for different folks. I'm a Barry Goldwater Republican. Leave people alone who don't want to be bothered. That's where my law office is, right where this 84 tract parcel that was going to be studied. We just wanted to make it clear that we didn't want to be studied. We like the way we're there. We like it the way it is, and we don't need to be changed. I like people in Big Canoe, and I've never used the word big to do. When I was reading that petition, I made clear that I didn't put big canoe at all in the petition. As soon as I finished and I sat down, I said, George stood up behind me. He's sitting directly behind me. He stood up, and the first word out of his mouth was big to do. I said, I felt like a turtle. I said, I'm planning on running for election against Mr. Jones. And I just went to crawl up in my shell. But no, me and George are different people. I never said big to do. I want to thank whoever asked that question for the opportunity to set the record straight.
The question is, what is the salary for the probate judge, and can you afford to live on the probate judge's salary? Keep in mind, I'm only reading what was given.
The salary for the probate judge is set by statute, and it's based on the population of the county. It's somewhere in the nature of between $57,000 and $58,000. Somewhere, I don't know specifically is the answer, but it's somewhere in the upper 50s, I would say. I believe the probate judge in Pickens County also receives what we call a stipend for hearing some traffic misdemeanor cases for the Pickens County, that the Pickens County Sheriff writes. Can I afford to live on that probate judge's salary? Yes.
What exactly is your contention with your opponent as far as his building of his home?
There is a requirement that you live within the circuit where you reside. If you go on the internet and check, you'll see that his homestead exemption has been cobbed. If tonight, before you leave, you ask him to see his driver's license, you'll see that his driver's license either has one of two things. It has a Cobb County address on it, or it will have been changed in 2012, a month and a half ago. One or the other. His children have always gone to school in Cobb County. His tags have always been in Cobb County. His entire living has been in Cobb County. Only did he register to vote because of these two residences over there 2 days before he qualified to run as your Superior Court judge. Neither Judge Weaver or I even knew who the man was until a month and a half ago. He, in my opinion, and you'll have to ask him why he thinks he's qualified to even run in this circuit, because there are a lot of people that are of the same opinion I am, that he really doesn't live here. He lives in Cobb County, not in Fannin County. He's working on 2 houses, but everything else has been in Cobb County all of the time.
The other is answers about allegations of old court cases. Case in point, 111 older than 2009.
And I don't know who wrote that question, but I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for writing it. If Uncle George was here, I'd blame Uncle George for writing that question, but whoever wrote it, thank you. We have a system within our courts, let's first separate it, civil and criminal. As to custody issues on an emergency basis, it is the policy of our court system that whoever the next judge is available, of course we have Judge Weaver here, we have me and Gomer, and we have Judge Mercier and Fannin. The next available judge immediately takes the emergency custody questions, and there are many, many times where we hear them the same day. So the allegations about these being put off and put off and put off are just patently untrue. As to other custody issue cases that are not emergencies, those are very routine. When a petition for divorce or custody is filed in court with the clerk's office, we judges don't know it because it's filed in the clerk's office, unless the attorney happens to send us a courtesy copy. They also, simultaneously to filing the petition, filed what is called a rule nisi, in layman's terms, notice of hearing. That notice of hearing puts it on whether it's Judge Weaver's calendar, my calendar, or Judge Mercier's calendar, and the very next civil non-jury day, it comes up and we hear it. So that also is patently untrue. The cases where there are old cases, it's because a case might have gone to court in our court, might have then had motions for summary judgment, that might then have a ruling on it that dissatisfied one side or the other. It goes to the Court of Appeals. It can already be 6 to 9 months old when that happens. When it goes to the Court of Appeals, it can stay there sometimes a year or more before it ever comes back to us. We have the brakes put on our case during that period of time. There's one particular case in Pickens County that has gone to the Court of Appeals 3 separate times. Each time they have affirmed either what I did or what the jury did. So the criminal cases are a different matter completely. If we have, let's suppose that we have a shoplifting case, over $500, which makes it a felony, and we also have a murder, a kidnapping, a child molestation, or a rape, guess which one we will take first for jury trial? And as a consequence, those misdemeanors or small felonies, and I'm not using this word small, but only as compared to murder, kidnapping, rape, child molestation, those more seriously, those other cases truthfully languish. And as a result of that languishing, we have set up with our one of our juvenile judges who has what we call a misdemeanor trial week. And he picks juries and he tries cases to try and keep those moving.
Thanks. Where and when did you get your degrees and for what?
I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration from Fort Valley State University. I have a degree from Middle Georgia College in social work and criminal justice as well.
Tonight we've heard a lot about the backlog in courts. How is your court handling the backlog?
I'm thankful to say that Magistrate Court doesn't have that backlog. I will say that one of the things that we started doing when I became a judge in Magistrate Court is we started trying to become what Magistrate Court is designed in statute and the Constitution to be, and that is the pressure relief valve for the remainder of the court system. If you actually think of the judicial system as a hospital, the Magistrate Court is the emergency room. We deal with all kinds of civil cases that are non-equity issues under $15,000. We deal with all the landlord-tenant dispossessory cases. We handle the abandoned motor vehicle cases. We handle just a wide variety of civil claims. We also have criminal jurisdiction. We issue all arrest warrants and search warrants, and we also are the court of original jurisdiction for all county ordinance cases. We have state jurisdiction to try certain misdemeanor cases, non-jury, and so we started handling those. Over the last couple of years, we have actually picked up tremendously the number of cases that we've been able to actually take from Judge Bradley's calendar, from all the Superior Court judges' calendar. In 2011, we cleared 402 cases. We adjudicated 402 cases in the Magistrate Court that would have otherwise been sent on to the Superior Courts. And so as a result, those people aren't sitting in jail. Those people are not sitting waiting for justice to be delayed, therefore justice to be denied. The victims are given the opportunity to start receiving restitution if there are cases where there is damage. And we feel very comfortable that this has been a wonderful process that not only, again, benefits the individuals who are the victims in the case, but it also benefits the offenders because, again, as justice delayed, justice denied, as Uncle George says all the time, you take that to another level. If it takes 2 or 3 years, not from any fault in the Superior Court, for a case to get on a calendar to be heard, then what does that person learn, and how have we held them accountable as a community? So that's really what Magistrate Court does and how we handle those situations.
All right, one more. Okay. Recently, I read about a house being condemned, and it was heard as a case before the Magistrate Court. What role does your Magistrate Court play in this process?
First of all, let me be extremely clear that I cannot, by statutory guidelines, comment on a case that is pending. However, I'll talk to you about the procedural requirements. The Magistrate Court, again, is the court of original jurisdiction for all county ordinance violations. If the county marshal, the county sheriff, or a building official makes a case against a home for any number of violations of the county ordinance, then those cases are tried in our court. In any kind of ordinance violation, we hold the arraignment. If they wish to have a bench trial or enter a plea to those cases, then we handle. We have both the civil and the criminal jurisdiction to aid them in finishing those cases up.
Thank you. Is it correct that you resigned from the judgeship, and if so, what was the circumstances of that resignation?
Yes, it certainly is, and that's a fair question. I was appointed to a Superior Court judgeship, which was new by Governor Perdue. And the next year I was elected by 54% of the vote in the 3 counties. Beginning in 2009, which was in the 4th year of my judgeship, allegations were made, some of them rather serious. They were all spurious, all of which I unequivocally denied then and deny now. They were put forth by political enemies. They were put forth by people who didn't like a judge who tried to be fair. I sat on the bench, and I tried to make rulings in accordance with Georgia law as I understood the law. But there were some people in this circuit who weren't used to having a judge being fair, particularly in the criminal defense area. It really upset people in the criminal defense area if I didn't just rubber stamp whatever the district attorney's office wanted. They weren't used to that. There was one judge when I was appointed, now you asked me, so I think I get the answer, Jimmy. It's a very serious question. You're right. There was one judge who told me, as I was taking the bench, that I always rule with the district attorney's office. They have the experience, they know, so I just figure I just go with them. I believe that's a rubber stamp. That's not what Governor Perdue put me there to do. That's not what the people elected me to do. I didn't do that. I tried. I ruled fairly. I also wanted to move cases ahead. I wanted to try cases. It bothered me that people were sitting in jail month after month and sometimes over a year waiting for the disposition of their criminal case. I know I have a rather strong voice, but I think I have a very warm heart. I love people, and it bothers me when people are mistreated. It bothers me when people are over-indicted, time after time. This is the policy, and I didn't agree with it. Now, charges, complaints were lodged with the Office of the Judicial Qualifications Committee, much like Judge Weaver has had a complaint lodged against her. Don't like Judge Weaver? File a complaint. Didn't like Judge Doss? File a complaint. Now, of course, when you have a complaint filed against you, you have to defend yourself. You have to defend yourself. I'm not a wealthy person. I have 4 children in school. In defending myself, attorney's fees for those spurious, false allegations, yes, lies. Lies by people that you know and I know, cost me over $100,000 in attorney's fees. I never had a hearing. I asked for a hearing, never had a hearing. This was trial by newspaper. The JQC, ladies and gentlemen, I've never been asked this question, but I want to tell you, The JQC's laws is supposed to be confidential. Yet if you read the newspaper, you could follow it, or at least their side, in the newspaper. But I was prohibited from giving a side. I was prohibited from answering that. So the JQC, their representative, had to get in the newspaper if it didn't come from the JQC. Obviously. All three, well, we have more than 3 newspapers in this circuit. Let's try it. Now we have this investigator named Mr. Richard Hyde. All he is an investigator. He has no authority, no police authority whatsoever. Remember that, because I'm going to come back to it. He would come into my courtroom that I had the privilege of presiding over and take his badge and go around to members of the jury, the attorneys, and say, I'm Richard Hyde, I'm the investigator for the JQC, and I'm investigating Judge Dawson, all of which was supposed to be confidential. It wasn't. Put in the paper, in the newspaper. It became attorneys that I was trying to try cases with, and I did try to try cases to move things ahead, civilly and criminally. Would come up to my desk and say, Judge Dawson, we know you have a lot on your mind. You think you can try this case? Well, yes, I did. And I tried to do it. No, Jimmy, you let the question in, I get to answer it. I'm sorry.
I'm not.
Okay.
Wrap it up in a couple of minutes.
Okay. I couldn't wrap it up in 2 weeks. But I'm going to come to something. I felt like I could not, when you're on the bench, you have people's lives at stake. The main thing is children. You want to take custody. You don't put custody cases off for a year, as some judges do. Document it. You have to move it. You've got cases, the mother and father. And I didn't think, and I also had other cases, criminal cases, and I didn't think with this massive investigation with spurious accusations, which I have denied that day and to this, and never had a hearing from that day to this. Think about that in history. Where have we seen that in history? I didn't think that my mind, that I could treat people as I wanted them to be treated with this, having to deal with this, and then turn around and do fairly for the people that were appearing before me. All my life, I have devoted all my adult life, whether it was in civil life or in the military, to the justice system. I love the justice system. I wanted to do right, and I did not think that I could devote all of my mind to that. So I very reluctantly resigned. And it broke my heart. I have been investigated for 3 years. 3 years. There have been 2 district, I'll wrap it up, Jimmy, but they need to know this. 2 years. The crack district attorney in Gwinnett County was handed the case. Mr. Hendricks asked for a special investigator. He asked for a special investigator. They gave him one. Gave him the best district attorney in the state, Danny Porter. Danny Porter has stated, I knew Richard Hyde. I've known Richard Hyde for 20 years. He doesn't do anything without recording it. He doesn't accept a luncheon invitation without recording it. The first thing I did upon being given this, I got a GBI agent assigned to me to investigate it, and I asked Mr. Hyde and the JQC for a recording of everything they had done. To quote Mr. Porter, at that point, Mr. Hyde dropped off the face of this earth. Twice more I asked, Porter said, for the recordings. None were forthcoming. Why? Why were no recordings? I mean, if you think Judge Dawson's guilty of something and you've been investigating at $125 an hour at your will, that's how much it cost you every time he wanted to come up here. $125 an hour, and you got to pay the bill, and he wouldn't turn over the tapes to Mr. Porter. Why? Ask yourselves why. I know why. I know what he said to some of those people he was interviewing. Wait a minute, I've got one more thing. You need to know this. Then, when he turned back in the case to the Attorney General, Mr. Hendricks went to the Attorney General and asked for another special prosecutor. And we got it, Pat Head out of Cobb County. He interviewed him. God knows how many times his investigators came up. Mr. Head has recently closed his investigation. Said, you know, you can't say we just couldn't find any evidence. But that's really what he said. He said, we couldn't find supporting evidence of any criminal activity, therefore I'm closing my file. Now, I could really like to tell you some things, but the final thing I'm going to say is this. On the 21st day of November 2009, Richard Hyde, private investigator for the JQC, and that was a Saturday, by the way, somehow gained entrance into my office as a Superior Court judge for you. He went into my office without a search warrant, without any authority whatsoever other than in his own mind, and he removed a privately owned laptop that I own. My attorney brought this to the attention of the JQC, and I think they thought it was funny. I haven't gotten my privately owned laptop back to this hour. I owned it. The state didn't. When I took office, I had no equipment. But I had to start, I hit the ground running in 2006, and I used my own private equipment. And that equipment was still in the office. And that equipment has been taken without authority, without a search warrant, without anything. That's what I had to endure. And I would like to go on. But Bill will come over and hit me. I would really like to go on.
I'm too weak to hit you.
I'm glad you're here, Bill. I'm sorry, but I can tell you some things that were un-American that no one in our system should have to endure. I would like to know why the JQC hasn't returned my private laptop. Why wouldn't I give them all these tapes? I know why. Thank you for listening. I hope that is, I don't know who asked that question, but I appreciate it. And I hope I have answered it adequately. And if you want to talk more about it, I'm available from here until the cows leave in the morning.
Harry, thank you for being brief on that subject.
The question did not call for brevity.
You're right. We have run out of time.
If I may make a quick announcement, ladies and gentlemen, Rita Kirk's brother just passed away.
Let me thank all of you for your attendance, and particularly I want to thank all the candidates that came tonight. It's been very informative, very interesting, and again, I'm only the messenger here. So if you have any questions for any of the candidates, please ask them, because they're going to remain here for a little while. Thank you again. Have a good evening, and have a happy 4th of July.